Moving on to the other big story that we're tracking, NIA has filed a charge sheet in the barbaric killing of Umesh Kolhe, remember, a chemist shop owner in Maharashtra's Amravati district who had supported Nupur Sharma. The charge sheet, which names 11 accused, reveals they are linked to Tablighi Jamaat, a puritanical Islamic organization. The charge sheet mentions that radicalized Islamists of Tablighi Jamaat committed this murder on grounds of alleged hurt religious sentiments, and they wanted to strike terror in the hearts of the people at large. All have been charge sheeted under several sections of the IPC and sections 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. This has now put the focus on Tablighi Jamaat itself, an organization that has come under scanner for similar cases of religious extremism in the past. So why do we need to be concerned? Take a look at the history of the Tablighi Jamaat first up. Its name means Society of Preachers, innocuous enough. Its aim, though, is to revive, quote, true Islam. What does that mean? Essentially, to live like the Prophet did. They want to, quote, purify the Muslim faith. Now, here's what many may not know. It was founded in 1926 in Mewat in Haryana by a Deobandi Islamic scholar. The organization today has 350 to 400 million followers in around 150 countries. But it is headquartered in Delhi, Nizamuddin West. Therefore, the potential threat is real and present for us. In many countries, predominantly Islamic countries, the Jamaat has actually been already banned. Saudi Arabia was the latest to do so. It banned it, calling it one of the gates of terrorism. Kazakhstan designated it as an extremist outfit. Shia Iran has banned it for other religious differences, Tablighi being Sunni. Russia has also banned it, terming it an extremist religious movement. Uzbekistan has banned it for extremist views. So has Turkmenistan, banning it for extremist views, and Tajikistan also considers the Tablighi an extremist outfit. No surprise, because especially through the last 20-odd years, Tablighi members have been implicated in many terror acts. 2022, German gunman behind the Texas synagogue attack was actually a Tablighi member. 2019, attacker behind the London Bridge stabbings attended Tablighi meetings. 2007, Glasgow airport attacker attended Tablighi Jamaat meetings as well. 2005, terrorists involved in the London bombings prayed at a Tablighi mosque. And 2001, the shoe bomber Richard Reed attended Tablighi Jamaat meetings. And now Umesh Kolhe murderers have turned out to be Tablighi Jamaat linked. So the big question we're asking today, on the lines of what has happened against the PFI, for example, is it time to deeply probe this radical outfit?
NIA ने जिस तरीके से इस चीज़ को किया है, जितना सीरियसली लेके इन सब चीज़ों को काम किया है, तो हम काफ़ी सेटिस्फाइड है NIA से। बढ़ावा दे रही है, इन सबको कहीं तो भी रोक लगने की ज़रूरत है। इसको अगर न्यायालय ने फास्ट ट्रैक में लेके अगर इसके ऊपर जल्दी कार्रवाई की तो ये कहीं तो भी मैसेज जाएगा।
मैं NIA से निवेदन करूंगा कि जैसे आपने पूरी ताकत लगा के चार्जशीट तक पहुंचे हैं, वैसे ही आप इन अपराधियों को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दिलवाएं। ये कोर्ट से छूट न पाए, इसका ध्यान रखा जाए।
Let's also go across to some updates coming in. CNN News 18 has access to full 3,000 page charge sheet in the Umesh Kolhe murder case. Some highlights that are coming to light. There is a picture of the murder weapon that was used to kill Umesh Kolhe that has been accessed. Interestingly, the accused also received a video, although they claim they don't remember exactly who sent it to them, which had an image of gangster Dawood Ibrahim, and this video was inciting to act against Nupur Sharma. There are more details that my colleague Vinaya Deshpande is accessing, and she's joining us live right now. Vinaya, the other big angle that you're also identifying from the charge sheet is that there were other individuals who were actually threatened by the same group that formed a gang in response to the Nupur Sharma statement and those who may be supporting it. And there was security provided to 4 persons by Amravati police. But there was no angle of terror that was deciphered.
Well, absolutely. In fact, not just that, Amravati Police CP, who's the Commissioner of Police, also gave a report in writing to the NIA saying that there is no finding of terror, insecurity, chaos in the minds of common people, and particularly in the sector of people of specific class. Now, remember, this is the statement that she has given after Umesh Kolhe's murder took place and after security was provided not just to 3 other persons who have been specifically mentioned in the NIA charge sheet, but also against about a security provided to Umesh Kolhe's son at a time when the incident had clearly spread terror in the minds of people. And at that time, even the NIA cites all these examples to say that it was an act of terror and that all these persons were a terror gang, because not just did they kill Umesh Kolhe, but they also terrorized 3 other people in a similar fashion, and thereby they can be termed a terror gang. So this comes as a stark contrast to what we can say Amravati Police had claimed, because even in the beginning when the probe was taking place, remember, there was a lot of hue and cry and questions were raised about the probe that was being done. In fact, at that time, the BJP had raised the heckles claiming that the Amravati Police were not properly conducting the probe. And now, after we have been able to access the charge sheet completely, the full charge sheet of 3,000 pages, we can see that the report that was submitted by the Amravati Police to the NIA somewhere is different from what the NIA has said in the charge sheet. Back to you.
Okay, so Vinay, I'm very interested to understand this from you, because initially, actually, Umesh Kolhe's murder took place almost a week before the beheading in Udaipur. But initially, it was, just claimed to be some robbery-related action or crime. And there was a charge even at that time that this crime and the nature and the motivation of this crime was covered up by the police at that time. Do you believe that this charge sheet strengthens that claim today?
Well, it clearly looks like that, because what the NIA has claimed in its charge sheet seems to be different from what are the documents that have been provided by the Amravati Police to the NIA. And all these documents are also a part of the 3,000-page charge sheet that CNN News 18 has been able to access exclusively. It shows several papers, one after the other. In fact, one of the papers is also the statement of Dr. Rathi. Now, who's Dr. Rathi? NIA claims that he was the person who was firstly threatened by this specific terror group, after which he had sought protection and he had also felt threatened. Now, the Amravati Police have given a statement of Dr. Rathi's, wherein he has written in his own handwriting that he has not been pressurized by anybody, that he did not want to increase the tension and strain between 2 communities, and that is why he had voluntarily issued a video statement of his, which he had posted on WhatsApp. Now, that is not what the NIA says. Remember, this is the person who had put out a video of himself on Facebook, on other social media, saying after he had put out a post in support of Nupur Sharma, in that post he had retracted from that support to Nupur Sharma, and the Amravati Police gave a statement to the NIA saying that this was the statement that was given by Dr. Rathi, wherein he claimed that there was no pressure on him, that nobody threatened him, and that he was doing so just to avoid any tension between 2 communities. That's not what the NIA says, and that is, initially when there were some issues that were raised with the probe of the Amravati Police, some of the issues that were raised by the BJP at that particular time was also that the police was not investigating the matter as deeply as they should have.
Because I remember at that time, Vinaya, when the Udaipur beheading came to light, where of course the killers went on camera and confessed the motivation and the reasoning behind the murder and why they did it, many believed that had the Amravati case come to light for its obvious reasons or the real reasons, then possibly in Udaipur, that killing could have been avoided, because the country would have been alarmed, and all police agencies in all states would have possibly had some sort of alarm after a killing like this happening in Amravati. Vinaya, I thank you for joining us with more details of the charge sheet that Vinaya and team have accessed for CNN News 18. Let's also go across to our guests joining us. The big question we're debating today, of course, is that do we need now a crackdown, some action or an investigation into Tablighi Jamaat, quite like on the lines of the PFI. Sushant Sareen is Senior Fellow ORF joining us. Mohammad Asif Hussain Sohail is political analyst. First, let me go across to PK Jain, former IPS officer and former DGP of Maharashtra. Mr. Jain, I remember you were on one of my shows when I asked exactly this question that, you know, had the Amravati real motive come to light on time? Because I think it happened 7 to 10 days before the Udaipur beheading. Could the Udaipur beheading have been avoided? What do you feel today?
I feel that police all over the country would have been certainly more alert in such cases, and maybe had this come to light and this kind of reaction from a particular community had come to light earlier, then the Udaipur police also would have immediately recorded and taken action on the complaint of the person who was beheaded there. Apparently, we all take cues from all over the country. Whenever an incident of this type happens, we start taking our preventive and precautionary measures so that this kind of a thing does not happen in our jurisdiction. So I'm sure that had this case come to light earlier, had it been reported earlier, the police all over the country would have been more alert, more agile, more responsive to such complaints.
Yeah.
Which probably did not happen in Udaipur's case, unfortunately.
Yeah, but can I also now ask you on the issue that we're debating today? You've served in Maharashtra. What do you make of the Tablighi Jamaat and its antecedents, some of which I have mentioned? Do you believe this organization is indeed dangerous and is radicalizing Muslim youth?
Now, yes. See, from the very young days, Tablighi Jamaat functions used to be always organized all over the state of Maharashtra. And we used to take it very lightly because these people never created any law and order situation. They never ruffled the feathers anywhere. But apparently the hidden agenda, which now has come to light, was always different. It was always radicalization. It was always conversion and things like that. So maybe, somewhere down the line, we lost that thread of the Tablighi Jamaat being any threat to the society. But now, as the things are coming up of late, the way we are seeing that the Tablighi Jamaat has been holding their functions, their meetings, and these are all very largely attended meetings, I can tell you that from experience. And now we realize that these are all radicalization and spread of the so-called spread of Islam. But under that garb, they were nefarious designs, they were nefarious activities of this particular group. And I think the government of India is already looking at these aspects. They gave a long rope to PFI also, PFI and all its associated organizations. So this organization has already come under the radar and action sooner or later will follow.
Okay, we took some time before building the case against the PFI. Does something like that need to now be initiated against Tablighi Jamaat? I've run some of their past cases where their members have been involved in terror acts. Asif Hussain, I'm coming to you. Is this not a big threat for the Muslim community? Organizations like these that profess a certain type of Islam are very hardened in their outlook and often come in conflict with the modern world.
Madam, first of all, I'm not the advocate of doing the advocacy for Tablighi Jamaat, but as I know about the Tablighi Jamaat, it's a peace and loving organization. It's the world largest organization spreading the peace, harmony. You can see, and they have been working, building the community. They have free hospitals. They are providing free education throughout the world. It's not about India. It's very wrong to blame the Tablighi Jamaat on this issue. See, no organization, support terrorism or hatred towards. If it's there, earlier we have, a mob lynching. That means it related to the BJP or RSS. We have a bomb blast in the India. That means it related to the Hindustan terror, related to any political organization. It's very wrong to. It's a pre-planned agenda to target. Earlier also, they have targeted Tablighi Jamaat at the time of lockdown. The court has, the Delhi High Court and Supreme Court has given a good verdict on that, saying about the functional of Tablighi Jamaat. So, I don't think the Tablighi Jamaat is involved in any anti
Okay, I'm running the instances when their former members have actually been indicted in terror acts. So, it's not coming out of nowhere. And also, it doesn't matter what some of the other activities of an organization may be. We do know that several organizations have several different wings and they may have a face which is projected to the world, and there may be activities that may go on in these mosques and in their meetings that can be of a dangerous nature. And also, Asif, I don't quite agree when you say that organizations don't support terror. If that was the case, we wouldn't have the Al-Qaedas and the ISIS, etc. I mean,
Madam,
that's not really a statement
don't compare
that is true
Al-Qaeda
to...
with Tablighi Jamaat.
No, I'm not
Tablighi
saying. I'm
Jamaat
saying
is the most
organizations do
respectable
support terror
organization
and they do
in the
conduct
world.
terror
It's the world
strikes. So it's
largest,
not true that
spreading
no
the peace
organization
harmony.
supports it.
They are-
I'm not
they are
comparing
part of
Tablighi
the
Jamaat
nation
to ISIS
building.
and Al-Qaeda.
They are the part of the nation
Sohail, just
building.
calm
They are-
down. Sohail,
they are
calm down.
working
Sohail,
militant
calm down.
force
We're
in
having
India.
a normal discussion.
Please.
There is no need to
Madam,
get so
please
hyper.
Don't misguide the nation. Don't
No,
make
please
your
calm down. I
respectable,
don't think that you are the repository of all knowledge and opinion on this. Just calm down and don't talk over me, otherwise I'll have to mute you. Please talk when I come to you, don't talk over me. I didn't talk over you, so please. Just calm down. Sohail, just calm down. Just calm down. Please talk when you're talk when you're given the time. Just calm down. The point I was making was that there are indeed organizations that are deemed terrorist organizations. So organizations can have a terrorist philosophy. It's not like no organization supports terror. But let me go across to Sushant Sarina. Sushant, what do you think? We did take a long time before we acted on an organization like the PFI. What do you think? Do you think a similar action or at least an investigation, a probe into their money, their funding, and what they're doing at their meetings is required? Because I also ran examples, for example, of how other countries have acted on Tablighi Jamaat. If it was so innocent, that wouldn't have happened.
Shivani, it's a little complex issue. Number one, the other countries have acted against the Tablighi Jamaat primarily because of doctrinal and theological differences. The Tablighi Jamaat represents the Deobandi brand of Islam. For example, the Saudi Arabians are more Wahhabi in their outlook. So I think there are those differences which come out there. Number one. Number two, yes, you should examine the records of all organizations, the funding patterns, their activities, every organization. Why should anybody be above the law? But I think we also need to be very clear about what the Tablighi Jamaat is all about. I could have many differences with the Tablighi Jamaat for their antediluvian views. In my view, I think it's stuck in a time warp. I think it is, and it makes no bones about it. It is a puritanical organization. It's an organization which is into proselytization. It's an organization which is trying to bring back Muslims to the original precepts of Islam, which in some ways, is caught in a time bomb. But having said that, I think it is important to understand that the Tablighi Jamaat makes no bones about what its aims and objectives are. But it is also a fact, Shivani, that there are many people who have been associated with the Tablighi Jamaat who have also been found involved in acts of terrorism, not just in India, but across the world. But having said that, I think it is important to lay out that the Tablighi Jamaat as an organization has never been found involved in any terrorist activity or endorsing any terrorist activity. So I think when we compare the Tablighi Jamaat to something like a PFI, the PFI from the day it started was a militant organization. It professed a militant agenda. The Tablighi Jamaat under the Indian Constitution practices the right to profess its religion and propagate its religion, right? We might have a problem with it, but that's besides the point. At the same time, the Tablighi Jamaat has never directly or indirectly supported any terrorist activity. There have been terrorists associated with Tablighi Jamaat. So there have been some rather dubious connections which have been found with the Tablighi Jamaat. Yes, and
one of those connections, since you mentioned that they have not directly endorsed or been involved, one of those connections is the massacre at the Peshawar market in 2009, for example. 137 were killed, mostly children. And the spiritual ideologist, Hafiz Muhammad Zulfikar, who was arrested in the case but later released, was an honored guest of one of the Tablighi centers. This cultural center was run by Tabligh Idawa, the missionary branch of the Tablighi Jamaat, which was part of an Al-Qaeda cell based in Sardinia. I may also quote that in 2011 WikiLeaks, there was a report that the Tablighi center in Delhi was being used by Al-Qaeda operatives as a cover to obtain travel documents and take shelter. So I'm not so sure under this light whether they are openly professing terror or not doing it or they're giving shelter. I think it becomes a serious matter, Sushant.
No, you're right, which is why I said there have been some very troubling associations, but not as an organization. There might have been people
Within the
members
organization.
of the organization who might have used the cover of the organization to support some of the terror groups. Because look, let's face it, some of the stuff which the Tablighi Jamaat propagates can be construed to becoming a kind of an endorsement for a very radical view of Islam, right? Or a very puritanical view of Islam.
That may come in conflict with other faiths or people from other faiths.
Exactly.
I have a minute left. I'll go across to PK Jain one more time. PK Jain, then how do we deal with such an issue where, let's say, the organization itself has nothing against it, but there are several strands of links coming with that organization and some serious concerns being raised? For example, now the Umesh Kolhe murderers being linked to Tablighi Jamaat. What can be done in this case? Because you can't act against the organization completely, but there are troubling realities.
See, we cannot exonerate the organization completely. Now, since the organization has come on the radar of the police and the intelligence agencies, now I'm sure a more coordinated watch will be kept on the activities of this organization and the kind of, discourses and the meetings that they keep organizing all over the country as to what kind of teachings are they preaching, what kind of teachings are they giving to the youngsters and to the community members. So it is going to, since there is nothing directly involving the Tablighi Jamaat, I'm sure that this is going to now be on the radar and some information will be gathered about them so that the organization, administration is more careful as to what are the activities of this organization.
Let me give Sohail an opportunity to respond to this also. Sohail, do you feel, let's say, the version of Islam, the very, very, they call it true Islam, or you can look at it in whichever way, the version of Islam that Tablighi Jamaat insists upon, do you think that is a matter of concern for the Muslim community? They may not profess terrorism openly, but that version of Islam in itself comes in conflict in the model world.
There is no conflict. They are just, making understand the Quran and Hadith. Apart from that, they don't teach anything. And see, madam, the main root cause of this issue is Nupur Sharma. They have not arrested. In Hyderabad, the same thing happened with BJP MLA who has, spoke wrong about the Prophet. He has been sent to jail. Simultaneously, the CV Anand Commissioner of Police have sent the person who said Sar Tansijuda. He has been also jailed. Who has initiated the hatred? We would have controlled that. We are losing a life, whether it's a Hindu, Muslim, or anyone. The other state police should learn lessons from the Hyderabad city police.
Okay. You're not answering my question. I was not going into the Nupur Sharma episode because we've discussed it. I don't have time for that. Our focus was only on...
Jamaat, they are not... Madam, the only thing what they do is they are spreading peace and they are teaching Quran and Hadith. There's a school of thought. It's a different school of thought. Tablighi, Barelvi, Devbandi, everyone has its school of thought.
Okay, so you're saying there is no problem with it. Okay, let's leave it at that. I've run out of time. I do thank all of our experts for joining us. I have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you some updates from around the world. Stay with us.